Hello everybody. In this series we will explore together some theories of learning such as behaviorism, cognitivism and constructivism, together with the teaching approaches, mainly the communicative language teaching, where the learner-centered approach is of great importance, particularly in the 21st century. So if you are hoping to become a teacher, I think this is the right course for you. First presentation is going to be about behaviorism. So let's get started. In this presentation, you will discover behaviorism and its basic assumptions and key features or principles, behaviorist theories and their experiments, and finally the teaching strategies. Now let's see what is behaviorism. Behaviorism, that is also known as behavior psychology, was very popular in the 50s and the 60s. It is in fact a theory of learning that states that all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment, through a process called conditioning. Thus, behavior is simply a response to environmental stimulus. In other words, behaviorism is only concerned with observable stimulus-response behavior, as they can be studied in a systematic and observable manner. As to Watson, Skinner, and Pavlov, they are considered as pioneers or the main theorists of this school. They are very known by their experiments such as Pavlov's dog, Skinner box, Watson and Reiner's little Albert experiment. Now, briefly, behaviorist approaches to learning and teaching were popular in the 50s and the 60s. Behaviorism studies observable behavior and it does not consider how the mind works. A person learns by changing his or her behavior to achieve a desirable outcome. Teachers use praise and feedback as punishment and reward. Instructors use frequent feedback and assess observable behavior. Examples of behavioral strategies include choral practice, and choral here means the practice in group of students, dictations, and drill practice. Drill means simply a way of teaching people or students something by making them repeat it several times in order to be memorized. So the theorists are Watson, Skinner, and Pavlov. Please note the following. The words in bold, like observable behavior, mind, changing behavior, punishment, reward, prize, feedback, or assessing behavior, and the choral, dictation, and the drill are the main keywords in behaviorism. For that reason, you have to elaborate on them. Now let's see the basic assumptions. Behaviorism is primarily concerned with observable behavior as opposed to internal events like thinking. Behavior is the result of stimulus response, and stimulus here means encouragement or the motivation. Response is a feedback. That is, all behavior, no matter how complex, can be reduced to a simple stimulus response features. Behavior is determined by the environment, or what we say conditioning and nurture. And here is one of the behaviorist experiments. Pavlov's dogs is a popular behaviorism experiment. A group of dogs would hear a bell ring and then they would be given food. After enough time, when the bell would ring, the dogs would salivate, expecting the food before they can chew it. This is exactly what behaviorism argues, that the things we experience and our environment are the drivers of how we act. Now, for more information, you can see also other experiments such as Skinner-Buck's experiment, Watson and Rainer's Little Albert experiment. It should be noted that Pavlov showed that classical conditioning leads to learning by association. As for Watson and Rainer's Little Albert experiment, so they show that phobias can be learned through classical conditioning in the Little Albert experiments. Now, the stimulus-response sequence is a key element of understanding behaviorism. A stimulus is given, for example, a bell rings, and the response is what happens next. A dog salivates or a pellet of food is given. Behavioral learning theory argues that even complex actions can be broken down into stimulus response. Now let's see some of the strategies. Teachers can implement behavioral learning strategy techniques in their classroom in many ways, including drills, which means repetition. Teachers may practice skills using drill patterns to help students see the repetition and reinforcement that behavioral learning theory uses. There is also a question and answer. Here, teachers can use a question as a stimulus and answer as a response, gradually getting harder with questions to help students. A guided practice. So here, teachers can be directly involved in helping students go through problems to give them the reinforcement and behavior demonstration you want them to follow. Regular review. So here, reviews are important to behavioral learning theory. Going back over material and giving positive reinforcement will help students retain information much better. Positive reinforcement. It is believed that the behaviorist classrooms utilize positive reinforcement regularly. This can be in the form of verbal reinforcement and prize, reward systems, added privileges, and more. Thanks for watching.